Hello YouTube, I'm David Frankel. I'm here in Nuremberg and this is the Deutsche Bahn Museum. This is interesting. To get to half the museum, you have to physically leave the museum. And there's still a train track just across the road. So the rest of the museum is the outdoor section, which is of course the most exciting part, where there should be some interesting trains to go and see. First things you spot when you walk into the second vehicle hall is this enormous steam engine and this, which I believe was the concept mock-up for what was at the time known as the ICX. Of course, since this, I'm guessing this has been here for a while, since then the ICE4 has been built and now exists. I think this mock-up actually predates them by several years. And out into the open air I step. Welcome to the most exciting part of the Deutsche Bahn Museum in Nuremberg, the trains. That S-Bahn train doesn't even look that old. They still have trains like that. What's that doing here? That's like putting a Class 319 in the National Railway Museum. I mean, sure, it's not new, but seems like it shouldn't be here, or at least not yet. Now this doesn't look much like standard gauge to me. It's also wider than your typical children's rideable miniature railway. In any case, I don't think whatever it's used for is operating today because there's nobody or any trains around. That's a shame. Meanwhile, there's an old double-decker train here. That doesn't look like part of the exhibit. If I'm not too badly mistaken, the actual main line approach out of Nuremberg is just behind the fence there. So again, this is somewhat reminiscent of York, where you can stand inside the museum and watch the actual railway in action at the same time. I don't know what type of locomotive this is, but this is a very typical and very iconic West German locomotive from the Cold War years, in of course the old Deutsche Bahn colour scheme. These I think were quite ubiquitous, the Deltics of their day, although they are actually electric. I feel like I'm back in Crewe. I'm looking for the Berlin M-Bahn. There's supposed to be an old Berlin M-Bahn train somewhere here, but I've not seen it anywhere. As with upstairs, a lot of the display stuff's in German, so I don't actually understand it unless I run it through the translator app, which can be a bit of a pain sometimes. So it turns out both the TEE, Trans-Europe Express loco, and the Berlin M-Bahn train, both of which I thought were here, have now been moved to one of the satellite sites in Koblenz. Which, yeah, I've spent a couple of hours in Koblenz, but I did not go to the Deutsche Bahn Museum there because I didn't know it existed. But actually, now that I think about it, I vaguely remember seeing something as we were leaving on the train towards Cologne, which might have been it. Either way, it looks like one day I will now have to go back to Koblenz to go and see them, because they are not here in Nuremberg. However, there's still lots of interesting trains here, and of course a whole section on the history of railways in Germany. So especially if you speak German, you will gain more out of that than I did. But either way, it is definitely a museum worth visiting. Of course, this will not be the last railway-related museum I visit on this trip. Not by a long stretch. We have one more big one coming up, which is the one near Frankfurt, called the Sinsheim Transport Museum, which has loads of trains and also planes and is absolutely enormous, probably twice or three times the size of this. Either way, I'm dedicating an entire day to it, so that's coming up. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe.